Hey everybody, welcome back to another special episode of H&R Movie Talk. I am HB Gibson, along with
RT Mac, and this is sort of like an impromptu episode, you know, because...
You dragged me out of bed.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we sadly lost another great filmmaker, the late Jonathan Demme.
Yes.
And most of you remember him as the director of The Silence of the Lambs, which starred Anthony Hopkins as Dr. Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, yeah, classic film. Classic.
And
who doesn't know Silence of the Lambs?
Yes, so we're going to dedicate this whole episode to Jonathan Demme. We know that we promised you part 2 and 3 of our DC animated universe.
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming next week.
But this is something that we had to do because it was just so sudden.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the fact that he was born on February 22nd, 1944, and passed away just yesterday, yeah?
Actually, 2 days ago.
2 days ago, yes.
2 days ago.
Yes, April the 26th, 2017. He was 73 years old.
73. And he worked with a lot of, you know, big-name people and inspired and mentored future big-name people. For example, let me see, because... You know we haven't done index cards since episode 2.
Yeah.
But this was just very sudden, so we had to really work fast on this.
And we want to make sure that our information was spot on and correct.
Yeah. Now, he basically, you know, got his start by working with legendary director Roger Corman.
Roger Corman.
Who is known as the Pope of Pop Cinema. And
the Pope of Pop Cinema, I like that.
And here's the thing. One thing I don't know if you know about this, he was actually, Roger Corman was a big innovator of independent films.
Yeah.
He would, I remember seeing an interview about him. He would say that he could make a film in less than a week.
Wow.
They would, film for maybe a day or two, edit the next day, you know, have it in theaters, in select theaters, you know, the following day. And these were incredibly low budget, maybe $70,000, $50,000, $100,000. And he would make at least $1 million returns.
Raw filmmaking at its best.
And the thing is, at times he was having bigger profits compared to budget and, you know, profits from the revenue.
Yes.
He was doing better than some of the major studios.
It's amazing that when a lot of these independent films, when you don't have a low budget, it makes up for the low budget with its passion, with its style, with its filmmaking, with its story, with the acting. And that's the reason why you see such a big return on a lot of these indie films, because it doesn't really take a whole lot to make them as long as the passion is there. And he was very passionate.
And that's what he taught Jonathan Demme, along with other people such as Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola, yeah.
Ron Howard.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Scorsese. And of course, James Cameron, who's responsible for 2 of the biggest grossing films of all time, Titanic and Avatar.
Well, aliens. But if you want to, well, I know. Can we give that a little close third at least?
Yeah.
Aliens fan, yeah. Anyway.
Alien Covenant coming out soon. So basically, Jonathan Demme, born in Baldwin, New York. He started out, you know, like I said, very early with Roger Corman. And some of his early films include Angels Hard as They Come, The Hot Box, and Caged Heat.
Caged Heat, wow.
and these were low-budget films.
Yes, right.
Stuff that he learned from Roger Corman. And, you know, once the 90s rolled around is when he really started to break out big. And in 1991 came Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Silence of the Lambs. And based on the book, let me see if I find it. It's on here. Here we go.
Yep.
Silence of the Lambs. One is the second feature film
Right.
to feature the character of Hannibal Lecter, the first being Manhunter.
Manhunter, I remember that. That was a Michael Mann film, yeah?
I think so, yes.
Same guy that did Miami Vice.
And basically, Silence of the Lambs is based on a novel by Thomas Harris, written in 1988. So it wasn't long before they adapted it for the screen, but what an amazing film that was.
That's right.
And fun fact, it's one of only 3 films to win the top 5 Oscar categories.
Wow.
So here we have Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay,
Ooh.
Best Actor,
Yep.
and Best Actress.
And as a matter of fact, one of my favorite movies that he did, Philadelphia. I really enjoyed Philadelphia. That was the film with about the gentleman who caught AIDS. It was Denzel Washington played the lawyer, and I believe the main character was played by Forrest Gump.
Oh, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
That's right.
There you go.
And it gave Tom Hanks his first ever Oscar win.
Yes, best Oscar. Yeah, best actor Oscar.
So here's the thing. Philadelphia was one of the first films to really draw attention to the AIDS epidemic.
Yes.
Of course, there was another film that came out, I think it was a TV movie that came out in the 80s. Oh, if I can only remember, I think it's called And the Band Played On.
And the band played on.
Had Sir Ian McKellen and one of my favorite actors, B.B. Wong, formerly of Law & Order SVU. So basically, Jonathan Demme was doing a lot of films that other people wouldn't have attempted.
Right. He went there.
Yeah, he did, and he was a groundbreaker. In
Yeah.
fact, another of his films called Rachel Getting Married.
Came out in 2008.
And this was just like his movies of the 70s and 80s. Low budget, and it was only shot in 33 days.
Amazing.
33 days. And the thing is, a lot of critics, made mention how it reminded them of his early films.
Yeah.
And it proved that, again, you don't need a big budget to have a good movie.
Yeah, it's
because Rachel Getting Married actually gave its star Anne Hathaway an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
I don't think she won, but the fact that she got nominated,
Yeah, that was fantastic.
and it's incredible. And he even stepped into stage production.
Okay.
Stage production, Family Week, came out in 2010. So he wasn't just, big into filmmaking, he was also big into stage plays.
Yeah.
And one of my personal favorites, probably Silence of the Lambs is a close second for me, but my number one Jonathan Demme film came out in 2013.
Oh, which one was that one?
It's called A Master Builder.
Oh, okay, all right.
It's based on the play The Master Builder by Henrik Ibsen. Basically about an aging architect who's like, you mind if I go a little uncut here?
Good.
Cold-hearted bastard. He is a cold-hearted bastard who basically cut the legs of everybody who came in his path.
Wow.
To get on top. And basically even his mentor. In the film, like, he and his mentor are having a conversation because he's dying.
Right.
And still, though, he's as stubborn as ever, non-apologetic, and the fact that his mentor's son works for him. So it's kind of like another nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
So it's all about self-redemption, basically.
Right.
He goes, basically, a good portion of the movie, I would say 99% of it, happens in this guy's mind.
Wow.
He realizes that he's been a prick for so long, so he wants to redeem himself and basically plays out an entire scenario. Like the most complex scenario to give him closure with his mentor's son, his wife, who there's a big secret that they have that it's pretty rough.
Right.
It's pretty rough, and it starred another of my favorite actors, Wallace Shawn.
Okay.
Well, you remember Toy Story?
Remember Toy Story, yes.
The voice of Rex.
He was the voice of Rex, yes.
And also Princess Bride.
Princess Bride,
He played Vicini Inconceivable.
I remember that.
That's him.
I remember that.
He plays the architect.
Okay.
And his mentor is played by Andre Gregory, I think the late Andre Gregory. They did several films together, Wallace Shawn and Andre Gregory. It's actually, if you look on the Criterion Collection website, they actually have like a small little box set of all the Wallace Shawn, Andre Gregory films. And A Master Builder is also on their collection as well.
Cool.
It also starred Julie Haggerty, another veteran actress, and newcomer, one of my new favorites, Lisa Joyce. She was, you know, basically a graduate of one of the New York Performing Arts Schools.
Yep.
And when it came to Wallace Shawn, Andre Gregory, Julie Haggerty, Jonathan Demme himself, Jonathan Demme said, and I quote, was blown away with Lisa Joyce's performance. Blown away. She is that damn good. And when I saw it, it's basically a stage play on film.
Right.
But the way that their dialogue is, like the way Wallace Shawn and Lisa Joyce are playing off each other, it's like you don't really blink at times because you're that caught and captivated by it.
Right.
So yeah, basically,
what can we take away now that we know about Jonathan and his work? What can future filmmakers who might be interested in doing independent film, that are starting out, what do you think they could learn from him?
I think one of the biggest things that they can learn from it is that less can be more. Whether it be in budget or in amount of days that you shoot.
Right.
You know, you can get a lot out of very little.
Yeah.
I mean, this is by no means a major comparison, but I'm going to compare H&R Movie Talk.
Yeah.
This is just two guys, a tripod, a camera, and his editing equipment.
Yep. Windows Movie Maker, nothing big.
Yeah. And we've been fortunate enough to get over 140 likes on Facebook.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. And this only happened in a couple of months.
Exactly. And all we're doing is just talking about movies. You know, I'm learning from him. I'm learning as I go along. He's the more proficient as far as like a film history and everything. So I'm learning from him as I'm going. So this is great.
But he has a lot of energy that I can easily play off of, so it's comfortable. It's really comfortable and refreshing when I have someone who has that kind of energy. If you see him at Comic-Con, you'll know what I mean.
Absolutely.
Oh, he'll be at East Coast Comic-Con.
I'll be at East Coast Comic-Con. Probably by the time that you see this, East Coast Comic-Con has probably will be over. But I just wanted to just say this: as far as like independent film, you can do it. You can just take a cell phone. You can take a Fuji camera that he has, that RT has, and you can. All you need is just a good idea, a dream, and some willing people to work with you. You can make your own film.
And you know what? You can do it for very little money. You know, you can rent camera equipment.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if you're on like a strict budget, have some people put some money together. You can rent camera equipment for a week.
Absolutely.
And if you got a solid story and you rehearse like crazy, you know, before you rent the equipment, you could shoot everything in a week.
And don't be afraid to touch on subjects that other people are afraid to touch on, because you never know who needs to see it.
And it's funny it's great that you say that. That kind of thinking goes all the way back to the Silent Age.
Yeah.
One of probably the first major black film director is a man named Oscar Micheaux. And he started out in the silent era, was very successful, even though this was like the 1910s and 20s. You know, he was a very successful black filmmaker. And he made stories showing some of the real raw sides of America.
Yeah.
The kind that people chose not to see or didn't care about.
Right.
He showed, like, his films were about what black people were going through during the 1920s. One of which is kind of a slight response to D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation. he did a film called Within Our Gates, and it actually depicts two black people getting lynched by a white mob.
Wow.
And when, like, they're hung from a tree.
Mm.
And for a 1920 black and white silent film, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like he said, all you need is some good people to work with and do ideas that, you know, most people wouldn't even touch. You'd be surprised, you know, what can happen.
Yeah.
You can catch lightning in a bottle and not even realize it.
Very true. Well, I guess that's it for today's H&R Movie Talk. I want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch it. Please stay tuned for episodes 2 and 3 of our review on the DC Animated Universe. We're going to continue that. And
we also want to express our dearest condolences to Jonathan Demme's family and all of his close friends and co-workers who worked with him throughout the years, including Roger Corman, who is still alive.
yes.
So I don't know how he's handling it right now. I'm sure that he's really broken up about it because this is one of his students in a way.
Right.
So, you know, rest in peace, Jonathan Demme. We are doing our part to help keep your legacy alive.
Yep.
And we will do that for every other great filmmaker and actor who unfortunately leaves us down the road. Take care.